It's Thursday, April 10th, 2025. It's the 100th day of the year, and I've got an update for you on our upcoming rare April weather pattern that's about to bring severe weather back into the picture and lots of other really interesting stuff, so let's dive right into it. All right, let's take a look at the upper level pattern that's driving all of the weather we're about to see. It really comes down to this at the 500 millibar level. This is about 3.5 miles above our heads. The wind speeds in the directions, we call this the jet stream, right? You can see there's a big bulge over here and a big dip over here in the east, and this is our big player that's going to be controlling the weather. Okay, so first of all, this big dip over here is being really driven down farther south today into tomorrow. That enhanced jet streak there is going to likely lead to some severe weather maybe today, which we will talk about here in a bit. Also, it's going to keep the slightly cooler than average temperatures in place over here in the Great Lakes region and over into the northeast, and it's going to lead to a massive surge of warm air over here in the west. You see this big bulge. Once again, that is our ridge forming in the west. So we're going to have pretty polar differences here between the west and the east. This is going to be one of the rarest April heat waves that we've had over here, especially in the West Plains in a while. There's lots of daily temperature records that are going to be broken here. So whenever you get extremes setting up like this close to each other, a lot of times you can get some interesting weather on top of that. And also look over here at our trough in the east. At some point, it's going to go a little bit negatively tilted. This is going to allow for some lift over here, and it's likely going to lead to a really unique severe weather threat as we go into the early part of next week. That's right, on Monday, April 14th, 2025, we've got a slight risk of severe weather already for places like Cincinnati, Huntington, West Virginia, up there towards Pittsburgh, Columbus. You guys are included in this. So yeah, we've got an early heads up here for severe weather. So yeah, as that slightly negatively tilted trough swings through, it's going to bring some storms with it and some precipitation with it. And right now, as you can tell, it really doesn't look that intense. One of the things that we're noticing here is that there's not a lot of instability. Some of these recent storms that we've been talking about, the Cape was out the wazoo, all right? The Cape is definitely within the wazoo with this one. So we're not going to have like an incredibly robust environment for storms, but what we are going to have is a very fast moving cold front and a lot of forcing. So I do think that we're going to have some severe weather over here, but the main threat on Monday, especially in the afternoon from once again, Ohio, northern Kentucky, all the way down into West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and eastern parts of Kentucky, the main threat is going to be damaging winds. The hail threat is probably not going to be that great, and the tornado threat is not going to be that great, but this is something that we're going to be watching because little things can make big changes as we go forward. Now let's roll it back a little bit and actually talk about today, where we have another chance of severe weather where the hail threat might actually be a little bit higher than what we're talking about for Monday. But here we are Thursday, April 10th. We've got a big slight risk of severe weather today for Memphis, Nashville, Southwest Kentucky. Honestly, this is some of the places that have been hit so hard recently. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it's going to be as bad, but we could get strong storms as far south as into Birmingham and over towards Atlanta as well. Here's what that radar could look like as we go through the day today. Notice how we're going to have storms popping up during the heating of the day. This is likely going to be between 3 and 4 p.m. That's when we start seeing them pop up over here in Tennessee. We'll probably also see some more robust popping up of thunderstorms over here around Memphis as well. HRRR just isn't showing it that well, but storms could get quite organized, maybe even some supercells down here in northern Georgia, northern Alabama tonight. This is closer to 9 p.m. This is when I think we've got the best chance of seeing some hail. And then these things could actually turn into a nice little line of storms, bringing some damaging winds, maybe even as far south as into south central Georgia as we go into the early morning hours. Things will really fade out though as we get towards 3 a.m. Friday morning. But yeah, this is the general progression of the storms today. I don't expect to see much of a tornado threat. I think the main threat is going to be hail and damaging winds, and the peak time for severe weather is going to be right there around 5 or 6 p.m. all the way through midnight, okay? Once again, we're not going to have an incredible amount of convective available potential energy, but in certain little pockets down here, we will have enough to cause some pretty large hailstorms. So 2,500, 2,800 joules per kilogram of CAPE, the higher that number, the more intense the storms could be. So I really do think that we're going to see some severe thunderstorm warnings today, maybe even some considerable severe thunderstorm warnings as a result of those strong winds and large hailstones. So make sure you guys are ready for that. Now, what's going to happen over the next couple of days as that trough is hanging out over here, all of this energy, all of that blow off from those storms and some additional moisture from the Atlantic Ocean is going to kind kind of culminate over here in the more mid-Atlantic regions and up towards the northeast. And we're going to see a significant amount of rain over here, and that's actually leading to a marginal risk of excessive rainfall in the day 2 outlook. Check this out. Watch as those storms over there in Georgia kind of wrap around a low pressure center that's riding the eastern side of that trough, and it's really going to slow down right over Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, southern portions of New Jersey, and for about a day straight, it's going to drop heavy rain, maybe over a small area here, leading to some increased threats for flooding right in here over the next couple of days. We could see 3 inches of rain, maybe even more, in a fairly short period of time, and then that rain is going to head off up into the north as well, potentially impacting eastern Pennsylvania up into southern New England. So we are going to have to watch out for the rain over here, but it's not really going to be a severe weather threat over here on this part of the country. Now, there could be some lingering severe weather tomorrow, April 11th, maybe over here towards the Outer Banks, into the Florida Peninsula a little bit. But once again, this is a marginal risk of severe weather. I think just some leftover wind gusts from our system will be the main thing that we have to worry about there. But definitely have a way of getting alerts just in case, as we will have a little bit more of that cape present on Friday, which might lead to some stronger storms here or there. Now, one interesting thing we've got to show some love here is the winter aspect. Because we have that big trough in place and because we have colder air sinking down from Canada, we are going to be cold enough to snow in certain parts of the northeast here as all of that rain moves up the east coast. So in a few parts of northeast Pennsylvania, upstate New York, into Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, maybe even through a lot of Massachusetts, we are going to have the very real chance of seeing some snow over the next couple of days. Now, is it going to be a lot of snow? Probably not. I think in the higher elevations in the Adirondacks, we might see 6 inches of snow in some places, the White and Green Mountains, 4 to 6 inches of snow, but in the valleys, we're talking about a trace, maybe an inch of snow. Boston, for example, you might get a skiff of snow. Doesn't look like there's going to be much snow in New York City or the rest of the I-95 corridor. Most of this is going to be reserved for our friends over here, once again, between Vermont, New Hampshire, western portions of Massachusetts, and upstate New York. Now, once again, the reason we're talking about snow in the east is because we're all feeling it, right? You guys are feeling these cooler temperatures over here on the east coast thanks to that trough. As it swings off to the east a little bit, things are going to get colder, especially in the interior northeast. But what's going to happen as well is things in the west, especially over here towards the western plains, they're going to get a lot hotter. We actually are going to flirt with all-time high temperature records over here in the western plains, approaching 100 degrees here, which is rare for April. All right, this is part of our rare April pattern that's setting up. Whenever we've got a big ridge in the west and a trough in the east like this, which isn't unusual, like we get cool bursts of weather in the east quite often this time of year, but this is actually a little bit anomalous. This is rare for this time of year to see such extremely below average temperatures on the east right next to such extremely above average temperatures in the west. So I definitely think you guys are going to feel the heat over here in Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Once again, I think that some records will be broken as that warm air moves off to the east. We're going to see several more bouts of cool air in the east as well. I don't think that warm air is going to win the battle necessarily, maybe until we get all the way out past April 23rd. So things are going to be interesting until then. I think we're going to be not dealing with very many large scale synoptic storms, you know, those big ones that cause massive widespread severe weather, until we can get back to being above average in the east and below average in the west. So we're actually rooting for those cold blasts of air to continue to come down into the east coast. And once again, the Climate Prediction Center is on the same page here. At least through April 19th, we're going to be below average in the east, well above average in the west, and we're going to hold on to that pattern for a little bit. Now, we're still going to see the chance for small scale severe weather events coming down the jet stream here every once in a while, but I really do think until we see a big resurgence of warm air in the east and another troughing pattern develop in the west, I think we're going to be kind of calm comparatively to what we have been as far as severe weather goes. And that's pretty much all the weather talk I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to keep an eye on these storms coming into the Ohio Valley, and we'll probably have another update tomorrow with some more information on that. But for the most part, things are looking a-okay. Let me know how you're doing in the comments. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.